Welcome to Oh Hell No with Nicole.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Oh Hell No podcast. Today I have Rachael Holder. She's a writer and director, and she has a new series that we're going to talk about called I Love Becca and Lucy. But first we're going to get all up into her writing and directing business and find out who she is. Welcome, Rachael.
Hi.
Nice to have you. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey on the Oh Hell No podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So the first thing I'd like to ask you is, when did you decide that you wanted to be a writer and director?
Well, I decided to be a writer when I was a kid. I was a kid writer because I went to a Waldorf school all my life. And at Waldorf, the kids aren't allowed to watch television or go to the movies.
Wow.
Because they want to promote like your own imagination and play, you know. Mm-hmm. And through that, I created my own stories. I knew of television, and I had like access to television at friends and family. And so I craved this thing that I couldn't watch. And so basically my sisters and I would create plays in our backyard and create our own television. And it wasn't until I started college really that I loved directing. I loved directing theater. And I directed my first play in New York when I graduated. And I didn't know that I was a director. When I did the series, that was really my first time directing. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't know that because on all the sets that I've worked on in TV and film, most directors that I worked with were white and male and were assholes and were the mean guys on set. And I just remember when I was younger coming up, just being like, I never want that job because I don't want to be the person that everyone fears in this like creative environment where everyone's a creative and everyone's trying to like make the art great. And so it wasn't until I got older and I realized that I could direct in my own way, that I was really a director, and this is, you know, what I've been born to do.
Wow. So you can actually be a writer and then just tell someone else how you envision it coming together, or is it their job to kind of figure out how it should come together if they're not the writer?
You know, that's the thing. I think that's the difference. I think that a lot of writers feel like they're not directors because they don't feel like they're assertive or enough, or they don't feel like they have like enough visual ideas. And that may be true, but for me, like with the series, I had created like several lookbooks. I knew exactly what I wanted the show to look like. I knew what the energy of the pace and everything. And once you start using that kind of language, you're probably a director, and you should probably direct your own work. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of writers, and I think when I was younger, I was less of this. I know a lot of writers tend to enjoy just the writing part and don't really have like a visual sense of what their ideas are. And, you know, so that's why they stay in their lane. But
okay.
Yeah.
So do you remember the first project that you worked on that you gave to someone for consideration? Whether, I mean, I don't really know how this industry works, but when you write something, you decide, oh, I would really like to see this come to life. Do you remember the very first project that you did and wanted to turn it into something, and what that person's reaction was to your work?
Yeah, I mean, I went to grad school for dramatic writing. So I guess the first time that I wanted my work to be created or to be accepted was my grad school applications. Mm-hmm. And so I guess that was getting into NYU, and that was like the validation that I needed at a young 24-year-old just right out of college, not really sure if I had the talent to make this into a career. So So I do remember that. I think that like, do you mean in terms of like pitching a television show or a movie or something and getting rejected?
I mean, even that what you just said answers my question. So to go to grad school for what you wanted to study, you had to submit some work and it had to be reviewed and accepted for you to be accepted. So that's a
Yeah.
perfect example of, the first time you had to like really submit your work and have somebody else say yay or nay. So that works. Yeah.
Yeah. I had written a play when I was in college, and then I sort of revised it and did a longer version for my first New York play when I was 22, and it was that play that I submitted to Tisch.
Nice. So how hard is it to break into this industry, to become a writer and you now know that you are also a director, but what do you have to do? Like, what is the hustle like, and how do you promote yourself? Like, what is that whole thing like?
I think that like the main thing is everyone's path and everyone's journey is different. And so I do believe that the struggle is real.
Yeah.
But like, I do think that it's important to note that like success and failure are like real things, and they're, both feel good and bad. But I think that like the effects of them are what our imaginations create, really. Like, I used to think failing was going to just literally murder me. Like, I was just going to just drop dead. But and that success was going to like make my life this like shining dream every day. And, neither are true. And so I think it's just about putting yourself out there, not waiting for permission. Every single time I wrote a script, I would gather people into a room and, perform it for them. I would gather actors in New York that I knew and be like, listen, I'm having a reading on Thursday. Get about 50 people in a room. And so I'd always had an audience. And I think that's really important, especially when you're doing dramatic writing or you're a director. It's important to write for people outside of the four walls that you write in. So even if, you can't get your web series up because you don't have any money yet, or, you're not getting staffed on a show or whatever, it's important while you're in the struggle, while you're in the hustle, to present yourself to an audience so that you have that experience, so that you feel like it's real.
Right. Absolutely. So let's talk about your new series, I Love Becca and Lucy. How did you come up with the idea for this show?
So I made a web series a few years ago, and it was really just a walking resume for me. I had no intention of it becoming a real show. I think in the back of my mind, you always dream of like the best outcome ever. But I think I was being really realistic, and I knew that although I am a prolific writer and I had pages and pages of work, that no one was reading me, and I needed to have something quick and easy for people to click on and listen to and get my comedy, get my voice, get my sense of humor and my like sense of self. And so I made these two little 2-minute long episodes of two girls who just got along. I thought that was like new and refreshing because I thought a lot of female friendships in television in 2012 did not reflect my relationships with women in my life. I really love my best friends, and we root for each other and we love each other. And there's still comedy in that. Like, you don't have to be against each other. It doesn't have to be an odd couple. One person does not have to be smarter than the other in order to get laughs. And
Right.
So I wrote a short version with $5,000 from Kickstarter, my friends and family. We made that little series, and then Warner Brothers bought it. And it was at that point in that iteration that I needed to make an actual story. And the story that I came up with was, for me, I felt a really universal feeling of when your person, your best friend, finds their person. And my best friend in our 20s had gotten married and had a baby and sort of did this adult thing that I was like so far away from. And with distance, it's hilarious. But at the time, it was like she had died. And so I just wanted to talk about that through I Love Becca and Lucy, that moment where, your person that you love more than anything leaves you, technically. And I think everybody can relate to that. At South by Southwest, a 60-something-year-old white woman came up to me, and like a gaggle of black girls came up to me, and they were both like, this is totally my story. And so I think that I Love Becca and Lucy is just incredibly universal in that way.
Yeah, it definitely relates to everyone because I could totally relate to that too.
Cool. Are you Becca or Lucy?
See, I'm a little bit of both because I'm selfish. I'm a mom and my daughter is older and then my friend just decided to like have a baby. So it's later on for her. So my daughter's older. I kind of want to still have a good time and whoop it up, and she's now like this new mom and it's like, okay.
Okay, wait, I have to interrupt you. You just said whoop it up. Do you watch The Real Housewives of Orange County?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So did you see, I'm sorry to get off track, but I have to talk to someone about this because no one I know cares. Did you see that moment with Vicky and Tamra where they made up at the end?
Yes, I did. I was shocked.
Oh my gosh, how sweet was that?
I
That's
know.
television I love. And she was like, is this real? And she was like, yes.
I know. I was like, I just hope that it lasts. I hope Vicky keeps her mouth shut. And I hope that, they just continue to build and do the right thing.
Because Brooks is gone. So
yeah, that's true.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
I love those kinds of the female friendship thing on those shows. I mean, that's what those shows are about, really. It's not just yelling and pulling hair.
Right. And that's what I always try to tell people because I'm obsessed with reality TV. I do a reality wrap up too on my podcast where I talk about all the reality shows. Yeah. So you can listen, girl, and just get your fill from someone else's opinion to see if they jive with yours.
I love it.
But I feel like it's real life. And I feel like the only difference is for them, they're getting a check. So they probably say things that we probably wouldn't say because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what interests me, because I write humans every day. So the study of humans is really interesting to me. But what really interests me is what these women will allow their audience to think of them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're lying, because I don't care if they're lying or if like that person didn't really say that or whatever. It's more about what do you care about a large audience knowing about you? Like that is what interests me. Even if it's not true. It's like, what did you want us to all think of you? And what does that say about you?
Exactly. That's a good point too. But I guess that money talks, so they're like, it's all a check, whatever, But back to you. So how long did it take? How long were you working on this web series? I know you said you started something else and it kind of came out of that, but how long would you say it took you to write it, put it out before it was picked up?
So I got the deal from Warner Brothers in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start writing like immediately because it was like in lawyer land for a while. And then I guess it was like 3 months later, I started writing like an outline and then developing the scripts. And we went into pre-production two summers ago. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. 2 summers ago. Yeah. Because I got married 2 weeks after we wrapped.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. So it was just a crazy time. And yeah, so I guess production, we shot this in 11 days. It was 122 pages. No, sorry, 14 days. 122 pages, which was crazy. And then we were in post for about 6 months, and then we got into South by in like January. Yeah, and we premiered in March. So yeah, it was about like a couple of years in total.
So tell us, what is Stage 13 Warner Brothers Digital Networks? What does that mean?
Yeah, so I was their first show that they bought,
Mm-hmm.
and when that happened, it was just Warner Brothers, and they were thinking of doing this digital platform, and they hadn't really decided on a name or what all they knew was that they wanted to produce voices that are not normally produced. Like my boss, Chris Mack, always says that like he was basically looking for the thing that any normal executive in television would get fired for pitching. Mm-hmm. Like they wanted to just have stuff that was just not the stuff that you normally see on TV. And and that's the stuff that they produce in their reality series through their scripted series.
Nice.
So they have a whole range of stuff. They have horror, they have comedy, they have reality TV. It's just basically like any other network, in that they have an eclectic group of stuff.
And where can people see the series?
You can watch my series on Facebook Watch, YouTube, and Stage 13. If you want the like non-edited version, watch it on YouTube.
What do you think about YouTube? I was interviewing someone yesterday, and she said that she felt like YouTube, is a good platform, but it's just so big and it's hard to get your stuff noticed because there's so many people and so much traffic. And what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, we were with my little web series that I produced with $5,000 from Kickstarter. I was in a deal to get it purchased, and my producer and I made the difficult decision to not take the money and to put it out ourselves. And we got a lot of views, and Warner Brothers found us. I think that like it's about the it's quality over quantity. I think it's about like really like cultivating your craft, being sure that what you're about to put up is what you want to put up, and you're not just like putting it out there just to get hits and views. And then I think it'll work out. I think like Gina Rodriguez, who was in my first web series, she said to me when we were filming, she was like, the cream always rises. And I didn't believe her because she's an incredibly positive person, and I'm a cynic from New York. And so I was just like, whatever. But I think that that's absolutely true. I think that when you put yourself out there and it's, quality over quantity, someone will find you.
Yeah, that's true. Did you do any advertising with YouTube, or you just put it out there and let?
Oh, I just put it up there. I did not do any advertising at all. I had never done something like that before. I'm a playwright. That's where I started, in the theater. So I've had like 500 people show up to a theater and applaud and like a show, but I've never had anyone, watch anything that I've done on screen before. So I really needed that validation. I really needed that. Should I be working in TV and film? And, so putting that up there and the 100,000 views that we got was a real validating moment for me.
Yeah, it's like you took the risk and you just, found out, yes, you do belong here. This is what you're supposed to be doing. That's amazing. I love that. So how many episodes will there be in the first release? Or is it has to be episodes, right? Yeah, because it's not just one show it's not like an after school special 30 minutes. So it's a bunch of episodes, right?
Totally, yes. We have 11 episodes in total. The 6th episode came out today or last night. And yeah, so it's 11 in total. We got a second season, so I'm writing that right now.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations. That's awesome. All right. So what has been the hardest part of getting to the place where you are today in your career?
I think the biggest thing is taking myself seriously. And you got to do that until someone else with the check does, like you got to be your own CEO of your own company. You got to take yourself very seriously. Got to set your own deadlines. I was writing before I got a job. And that's a really hard thing to do because you have to like do the job before it pays you basically. And so, but it's like running a marathon. You can't, if I hadn't been writing for several years before getting this job, I would not be equipped to run a marathon. Like if I had never been running all day, every day, and someone was like, now you have to run this marathon, I would be a shit runner. Like I would just not work out. And so I think that was the biggest challenge, was just like being my own boss for several years, setting deadlines, writing movies, writing different TV scripts, and just having a good portfolio ready and not having it grow stale. Like what you wrote in 2009 is not cool right now. Like that's just that there's no way that that's holding up. And if it is, you must have something else also, like, because often, I'll have a general meeting at a production company or a studio or whatever, and they'll be really interested in me as a creative, but whatever I was pushing or my reps were pushing at the time, that's not appropriate for their slate. Mm-hmm. The worst thing that you can do is at that point be like, well, that's it. That's all I've got, you know?
Right.
So I think the biggest challenge is constantly be working, even though no one's looking at you to do that.
Wow, I love that. That's right on. I love the way you explain that, just comparing it to the marathon, because that's true. What do you sacrifice the most personally to do what you do professionally? And I ask people this question all the time, and it's like people get so turned off by the word sacrifice, but in life, you have to sacrifice something for something. There's balance, but we all know, like you said, you know, if you want to get to the place that you're going to, you have to train for it. So that's a sacrifice, getting up every day, working out, doing this, doing that, you know, to be able to run that marathon. So what do you feel like you sacrifice, not in a negative way, personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest sacrifice was me was probably being broke for the majority of my adulthood, which limits, you know, your social life. I think that, like, luckily I had met my now husband when I was 26.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in a steady relationship. And so I wasn't dating. But, you know, it was hard for me to just like feel like I could go to different things because I wanted to be able to say what I did for a living. You know, I think that was the big, because I could have, you know, I have 2 degrees. I could have easily gotten another job. I could have been a teacher. I could have worked in an office. Like I could have gotten a 9 to 5, but it would have taken time away from, you know, the marathon that I was training for. Right. And so I just didn't. And so for years I was broke. And I think that like that kind of feeling as an adult, especially an educated adult, is really hard because at dinner parties, at events, you know, you have nothing to offer. And when you do, especially as a writer, and you say like, yeah, this week I finished a movie, everyone's like, oh my God, when is it coming out? And you're like, it's on my computer. I just did it. It's fine. And I'm so proud of myself. So I think that was probably the biggest sacrifice. My pride, I guess.
That's funny. Well, thank you for being honest about that, because I know it's hard to sometimes bare your soul and say stuff like that. But yeah, I totally get it. Believe me, you know. So who do you dream about working with? It could be like writing something for an actress or working with another director, or I mean, I don't know if directors work together, but who do you dream of?
Yeah, I really, so I mean, there are a few people that I love to work with. The thing with me is when I write a movie or a teleplay or a play or whatever, I'm never imagining someone that is known, like or that I know even. Mm-hmm. I'm imagining that fictional person. Until we're in casting, I am imagining just a fictional person in my mind. So I rarely am like, oh my gosh, this actress or this actor would be so good for this. Like I just don't think in that way. Mm-hmm. But I do get inspired by people. I often like fall in love with creatives that I just meet or, you know, I see in a movie or whatever, and I'll just be like, that person's so great just because they're great at their craft. And I just got back from Hawaii. And on my vacation, I read Gabrielle Union's book. Mm-hmm. Her childhood was, and the way that she navigated white spaces and how she was the only and other for so long growing up was just so similar to me. And I felt like she wrote that for me. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I mean, I would be really interested in working with her.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, for me, I don't think that we people give ourselves enough credit for the things that we do accomplish. You know, I think we beat ourselves up a lot about where we are in our lives, why we're not here, why we didn't do this. So today, what are you the most proud of where you are today in your career or just life?
Oh, right on. I think that, so for when I got the show a couple of years ago, mm-hmm. I thought for so long, like I was saying that like at dinner parties and events and stuff, I could never say what I did for a living because I wasn't doing it yet. Mm-hmm. as soon as I got the deal from Warner Brothers, I had the opposite effect. I thought that I was going to be saying it to everybody, but I was embarrassed because I thought that people in general don't like their jobs. And I got like the lottery. I like won the lottery. Even though like I'd worked really hard for it, it just felt like bragging and mean and weird to say it to people.
Yeah.
And I struggled with being, proud. Like I had worked very hard to get there. It wasn't like I woke up and I was on top of a mountain. And so recently, I think in the past few months, I've been challenging myself to tell people what I do for a living with confidence and with pride. And so yeah, I think that I'm really proud of myself for sort of just overcoming that and just being like, you know what, this is pretty fucking great. And I get to do this. I just got a movie. Like, life is good. And it took a while to get there. So I think I need to stop feeling like I have sort of like survivor's remorse a little bit.
Yeah.
And I need to stop feeling like that because, it's great and life is good.
Yeah, girl, just think back to when you were broke. You earned this.
I know. It's like for a while I went through like a mourning period. Like I missed that girl. Like I was so sad for her. Like I was like, I wish she could see this. And it's like, it's you.
Yes. Wake up. Enjoy every moment, every day. That's right. You earned it. So what do you hope to accomplish next? Like what's on your list for next?
I'm writing a movie. Unfortunately, I can't talk to you about it yet.
Okay.
But I just got this really great movie. I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait. Like it's been a weird struggle for me to get other directing jobs for features, especially just because even though the series was shot like a movie, we shot it out of order, and so we shot it like a movie, and we shot it like an indie movie. It was an indie movie. Our series was made for $500,000, but I did it with a studio. Mm-hmm. And a studio, usually you get millions of dollars to make a movie. And so I did that same like thing, navigating the red tape of a studio, but with way less money than your normal director. And so I feel like I can direct anything at this point. But, people are gun shy because of my experience and also because I'm Black and a woman. And so people are terrified of hiring me because of, racism and sexism. But I forgot what your question was.
I was just saying what's next. But you told me that you can't. You're working on a movie and you can't say. So that's OK. That's good. I'm just happy that you're.
Oh, this is what I was saying. Sorry. Yeah. It's really hard for me to get to book features because of that. And I luckily recently just booked one. So I'm really, really excited and I can't wait.
Wow. So what are some of your favorite movies?
My favorite movies from like this past year.
Mm-hmm. You could tell.
Get Out was amazing. I feel like Get Out is a movie that should be like a human requirement. I feel like in order to be a human adult, you have to watch Get Out.
Right? That was good.
So good. I think, and Jordan Peele got snubbed.
I know. And did you see how all those women directors got snubbed too?
It's insane.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy. Lady Bird was very sweet. It was so sweet. I saw that with my mom. That was really great. I love that. Girls Trip.
That was funny.
Yes. Girls Trip was like it was like going on a roller coaster twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I had so much fun in the theater that night. Yeah, Hidden Figures, was that this year?
No. But that was good too.
Sorry.
Okay. So do you have any other passions that you want to explore in the future?
No. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, not. I don't think so. I feel like I'm at the beginning of my career, and I just cannot wait to do more. And in directing and writing right now, and so to think of like doing anything else is just not where my brain is. I think if anything else means like baby. I think I think I'm just going to create a child perhaps at some point. I don't know.
That's good, though, because that means that you are, in fact, living in your purpose, right?
I'm trying.
You are, girl. This is amazing what you're doing. And
Thank you.
You're coming from very far and you're finally at a place where you're seeing things happen, and that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about an oh hell no moment that you had. It could be early on in your career. It could be with writing your series. It could just be with interviewing with someone, but we want to hear about it. Something that happened that you were like, oh, hell no. Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. So I Love Becca and Lucy is about two Black girls. And my intention with their Blackness was to not make the show about it, but to not forget that they're Black. Like, that was really important to me. It was really important that the show was about two Black girls, but I didn't want the show to be about race. And in order to do that, I needed to be very cognizant of the fact that this is a show about two Black girls. And this is also a show about two Black girls who love to swim often. So they have to wear swim caps or else their hair would fall out. It just wouldn't make sense. And on the day that we were shooting the pool scenes, one of the girls' swim caps broke during hair and makeup. And we were, can't lose the light. We had no time for any kind of mistakes. And someone suggested, I don't remember who, but someone suggested that we just move forward and we just like have them wet their hair. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those moments where it's like, it's so obvious that I'm the only Black person here, but I'm going to tell you that this won't make sense anymore if we just have them swimming every day without swim caps. That's insane.
Yeah, no.
That was my oh hell no.
Oh my God. Okay, that's cute. Thank you so much for this interview. I had such a pleasure talking to you and learning about your life and your career. Amazing. Tell us again where we can see I Love Becca, because I'm going to go binge watch now.
Cool. Yes, do it. I do want to say before I tell you where to watch the show, just because like anyone who wants to do what I'm doing needs to know this also. I was broke my whole adult life, but I did live a very privileged life, and that's why I was able to afford grad school. That's a real thing. I think that like sometimes people, I remember my first interview for South by Southwest, the guy asked me if the lack of diversity in the entertainment business is because of lack of talent. And it really isn't. It's a lack of privilege, it's a lack of opportunity. And so I just want anyone who's listening to your podcast and who wants to do this kind of job but doesn't have access to understand that I had a lot of access growing up, and that's why this kind of lottery win of mine has happened. So that's a part of it. I just want to make that clear that like, I wasn't living out of my car and then suddenly I won the lottery. Like I went to private school all my life. I was able to afford grad school, which a lot of people aren't. And that's a real thing. And so I just want to make that clear and just paint the real picture for people.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. And you can watch the show, yes, stage13.com, Facebook Watch, and YouTube.
Facebook Watch. I've never heard of that, but I'm like a grandma. I don't even know what's going on here.
If you just go into Facebook and put I Love Becca and Lucy in your search engine on Facebook, it will pop up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where can we keep up with all things Rachael Holder?
You can follow me on Instagram. I'm not really on Twitter that much. I usually just like retweet funny people, and I don't go on it anymore because the news is so depressing. Mm-hmm. But I Instagram a lot. You can follow me at She Writes Funny.
Okay, She Writes Funny. That's your name?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So follow Rachael on Instagram at She Writes Funny. And thanks again.
Thanks so much.